This week in Boomtown, we sit down with Kenny McDonald, President and CEO of One Columbus.
When companies come up to our booth, it's how can we help you? Maybe you're a fit for Cleveland, maybe you're a fit for Columbus or Cincinnati.
Find out why businesses around the world are starting to look to Central Ohio as a potential new home. Plus, a $1 billion water project built for a future Columbus that's nearly 700,000 people bigger. We'll take you inside the new plant designed to power homes with water and solar, and why it could impact your bill before a single drop is delivered. But that's not all. A solar factory that's cranking out tens of thousands of solar panels a day. How one homeowner turns sunshine into serious savings. And see how Central Ohio's solar surge is fueling jobs, powering homes, and helping families cut costs. Central Ohio certainly is booming. We all see it and we all can feel it. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. Thanks so much for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. So let's start with some headlines. A new report shows Columbus is in the top 10 fastest growing downtowns in the entire country. In fact, more than 8,000 housing units have gone up in just 5 years, and that is more than the entire previous decade. Experts say that's 40% of all new apartments in the city, showing a big shift toward downtown living. For renters, that means more options and a possible balancing of prices as supply catches up with demand. Well, this week, Columbus Recreation and Parks laid out its 10-year vision. It's called Playbook Columbus, and they want to hear from you. The new project has a goal of creating a roadmap for the future of park services, really all across Central Ohio.
We want to create the best park system possible, and so we partner with these community members and residents of Columbus to create the best parks. And so it's essential that we get their input about what's important, how to prioritize over the next 10 years.
And now let's talk about jobs. More are coming to Pickaway County with the new Coca-Cola distribution center opening this week. This is video from the grand opening in Lockbourne. It is a $90 million investment that brought out Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. Coca-Cola says this facility can put out 16 million cases a year, and that is literally 75,000 cases of Coke a day being produced right here in Central Ohio.
We have made significant sustainability improvements through our redesigned HVAC system, through all new LED lighting, through cardboard and plastic compactors, and we also have an infrastructure for future EV charging.
So the site is expected to create 25 new jobs, bringing the total workforce there to 350. But it's not just Coca-Cola. This week, McDonald's announced its largest hiring initiative in years. This summer, home of the Hamburglar plans to hire up to 375,000 workers nationwide. And in Ohio alone, this translates to over 20,000 new jobs. The expansion is all part of McDonald's strategy to open 900 new locations across the U.S. by 2027. Now, you might be surprised to learn that Sheetz, that popular convenience store and gas station chain, has gone from 0 to 40 locations in just 4 short years. They are popping up really all over the region, with the latest 2 just this week in Polaris and Galloway. Sheetz hopes to have 50 stores by the end of the year. Kroger is also expanding. It just announced a $64 million investment to add more grocery stores between Central and Northwest Ohio. Now, this includes building a new marketplace in Powell and also renovating 18 existing locations, like the ones in Circleville and Lancaster. Kroger also plans to break ground on a new store in Delaware that's set to open in 2026. Well, the future of education and the Ohio workforce took center stage this week. This is video from a conference that wrapped up this week at Columbus State. And it really brought together schools, colleges, employers, and public leaders, all focused on helping more students earn degrees and land good jobs. Now, you see there Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel. Well, he's been put in charge of developing the future of Ohio's workforce, and he was at the Central Ohio Compact Conference there this week, sharing what he's learned so far as the state's #2 top official.
You know, the Central Ohio Compact has been working since 2011. anticipating the needs of the workforce, anticipating the goals of the young people and maybe people who are in a job that they would like to progress and so forth. It's amazing that this many people for 15 years have been willing to get together and try to figure out how we can meet the needs.
Well, that feedback is now shaping what's being called Ohio's Workforce Playbook. It's something Lieutenant Governor Tressel is now in charge of as he makes more stops across the state. All of this really begs the question, where exactly does the job market stand in our state? Well, this week, the latest Ohio jobs report came out. And here's what we learned. While there is much to be positive about, Ohio's job market showed mixed signals for the month of March. The unemployment rate went up to 4.8%, marking the highest level in 3 years. However, the state also added 7,500 jobs with notable gains in construction and healthcare. But the job losses came out in professional and business services to help offset some of those gains. While data centers don't typically bring in more jobs, this week we learned of plans to build a new one in Fairfield County, and this is a $1 billion investment. The center will be located on 500 acres right off State Routes 204 and 37 in Millersport. Vantage is the data center provider, but it has not disclosed its client. We spoke with the Fairfield County economic developer who says this data center would be completely powered by its own system and not from the main grid.
An opportunity for a lot of investment in the region from these companies. And, and we're hopeful that, this company, and they're known to be great partners, will partner with the community.
The project now goes to village officials for approval. And check this out, Columbus's rapid growth is really gaining attention on the national stage. We've been telling you about the new Anduril development in Pickaway County. It's called Arsenal One. And this Sunday, the CEO of the weapons manufacturer is appearing on 60 Minutes. The weapons facility will be built on these 500 acres in Pickaway County, right near Rickenbacker International Airport. The site will be known as Arsenal One, and it'll contribute $1 billion to Ohio's GDP. And it will also help with both annual economic output and state labor. Now, 32-year-old Palmer Luckey is the president and CEO. He says his mission is to build weapons that control themselves. It's a concept some say is a little scary. 60 Minutes correspondent Sharon Alfonsi sat down with him to talk about his innovation and also the public perception.
Scary idea, but I mean, that's the world we live in. I'd say it's a lot scarier, for example, to imagine a weapon system that doesn't have any level of intelligence at all.
Well, economic leaders just wrapped up a week-long summit in Washington, D.C. It's called Select USA, where thousands of economic development organizations from the U.S. and around the world came together to see whether Central Ohio would be its next new home. I am joined now by none other than Kenny McDonald, President and CEO of the Economic Hub for Central Ohio. We're talking about One Columbus. And so, Kenny, thank you again for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We love having your insight here for This Week in Boomtown. And this week, you actually got some great insight at a conference in Washington, D.C. Talk about this. You described it as the Super Bowl of foreign investment.
Yeah, every year the U.S. Department of Commerce has a forum called Select USA, and they bring thousands of companies from around the world. And all of our competitor states from across the country are there, and our collaborators to bring companies here to America. And we're kind of head to head, and we meet dozens and dozens of companies formally, and then even more than that informally at the embassies and stuff at night. And it is just a wonderful way to welcome people to the United States.
At the same time, I bet you had your sneakers going because you were running from place to place. This is huge because last year, Select USA says it brought in more than $50 billion to the U.S. when it comes to investment. So what's the sense you're getting right now from people who are outside of not just Ohio, but the country, and how they perceive doing business for the U.S.?
Well, the conference itself is always a great confirmation that we have the best country in the world for doing business. We have people from all over the world wanting to launch here. Our demographics, the rule of law, the great universities that we have and their talent base continue to draw companies from all over the world. In some cases, the talks of tariffs have impacted it positively and actually maybe pushed some people to think about doing their project in the U.S. a little faster. And there's others that are maybe pausing those plans and waiting till there's a little bit more certainty in the future.
And many of our competitors, I know, often look at Ohio to see what we're doing right, and they might want to steal some of our business away from us. So do you feel like it's getting tougher for us to stand out in the crowd?
Well, it's a very competitive business. Growing your tax base, recruiting great jobs to your state or your local community has always been really competitive. Events like Select USA are a great reminder that every state and most countries in the world are pursuing these jobs, and we have to stay on the edge of our game if we're going to compete.
So what are you hearing about Ohio? Like, what are they saying about us specifically?
Well, Jobs Ohio does an awesome job. We go as one team. We have this great booth space. We had a great banner at the parking garage of the Gaylord Hotel this time announcing that Built in Ohio that got some people's attention. And when companies come up to our booth, it's how can we help you? Maybe you're a fit for Cleveland, maybe you're a fit for Columbus or Cincinnati. Let's get you to the right person. Not everybody does that, and that's something we take pride in.
Is that a new slogan then that we might see more of, Built in Ohio? I like the way it sounds.
Yeah, Jobs Ohio uses that a little bit. It certainly got some of the other governors' attention and stuff, and Ohio announced its presence there very strongly this year.
That's great to hear. So Kenny, I know on the flip side, you know, we want to bring businesses here to Ohio, but the growth, I think, for business owners here in Ohio is they also want to grow. So is there any opportunity that you see, especially coming out of this conference, that perhaps we can promote ourselves to, you know, grow elsewhere?
Well, there's great companies that we talk to that actually have customers here. In fact, we had a company that we met just the other day, I think on Monday, that was flying in to meet their core customer that happened to be here in Columbus, Ohio. And they also want to locate close to them. And we have multiple examples of that.
Yeah. All right, we know you always have something around the corner. What's the next big thing?
Well, what's on my mind is the Great Memorial Tournament. We sometimes take it for granted because we live here in Muirfields, just around the corner. But we welcome not only the world's best golfers, but all kinds of businesses around the world that come to put their feet down here, enjoy the tournament, maybe play a little golf, and get to know our community a little bit better. We take great pride in having a lot of clients come out to the tournament every year, and it's a lot of fun as well.
And they're celebrating such a milestone year this year. That's a true testament to not just what Jack built, but also like how Dublin really embraced the tournament.
Well, it speaks to the growth of what the golf course has done for that whole part of our region around Dublin. It's helped build a great community, and again, some of the world's best players and lots of businesses come here to play in the Pro-Am and stuff, and we want them to see the best of Ohio.
Real quick, I know our headlines this week, we talked about some new data centers coming again, and not just now Licking County. We're seeing other counties really getting some of these data centers, Pickaway County and Fairfield County. What do you foresee? Do you foresee the data center world kind of expanding beyond just a few?
Well, it's a great reminder. This conference, Select USA, there was lots of companies promoting that. The growth of AI is worldwide, and these are being built all over the country and then all over the world. One of the things that we're doing is we're actually talking to the people that make the hardware that goes inside the data centers, the technology that goes inside the data centers. We want that to be built and delivered around the world from Central Ohio. Right. So we're trying to build out that supply chain, and we don't often talk about that, but we have some unbelievable prospects that are in that value stream that are really powerful players.
They're all pieces of the same puzzle that really make us shine.
Absolutely.
Well, as our region grows, so does the need to power all the new homes and businesses coming our way. In Central Ohio, people who have gone solar collectively saved $3 million on energy costs since 2021.
We're able to decrease the price of your average solar by about $6,735, which is pretty significant as opposed to just going directly with the installer, but it's only locked in for this co-op.
And that is Cassie Johnson from Sustainable Columbus talking about how the city is now expanding solar co-op to include even more people with a 30% federal tax credit incentive. So how much can you really save when the upfront cost is so high? Well, I spent the week looking into solar power, and if it's as sunny as it really seems, and what I discovered is how Ohio is leading the way for solar manufacturing in the country. Each ray of sunlight shining down on this Clintonville garden is money in the bank for Noah Faust.
I want to say once we've had it for 9 years, it'll have paid for itself. And after that, it's just free money. So.
Can't beat that. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
3 years ago, Noah and his wife decided to switch to solar energy. Since then, they've watched their monthly electric bill drop from the 50s to the teens to single-dollar amounts. Just look at what they paid last May, $3.59.
I have a deal with AEP where basically I get credit on my bill for every kilowatt that I give them. So on days like today where I'm not running my air conditioning, I'm not using a lot of electricity, but it's really sunny and my panels are generating a ton of energy, I'm actually backfeeding that energy into the grid.
25 miles east in Etna, Ohio.
This plant is 1.1 million square feet. We employ over 1,500 people, and we are the largest single-site solar manufacturing panel in North America.
Brittany Rogers is head of human resources at Illuminate USA.
This is one cell.
The company churns out nearly 29,000 solar panels a day, just one part of the solution to meet the solar demand, from homes to businesses to farms. The solar industry is booming so fast, keeping up with production is a 24/7 job. Here at Illuminate, within 6 months of operation, it produced its 1 millionth panel. Rogers says there is no sign of slowing down, given the need for renewable energy in boomtowns like Central Ohio and beyond. Where are we going with this? What's your end game?
We have big dreams. We have really big dreams. What we're already doing is advancing the technology. So we have opportunities to even make more advancements, to make more automation.
Selling solar isn't always sunny. Realtors tell us they advise against it for a number of reasons. The time required to recoup the investment is significant. And if you're trying to sell your home, the typical limited warranty is one more utility for a homeowner to maintain. Noah says they have no plans to move anytime soon, so he's thankful for the panels as electric rates for his neighbors go up by the year.
Right. I'm saving money. My bills would be way higher if it weren't for the solar panels.
Well, another vital resource is also going to be needed as Columbus booms. We're talking about water, and that likely means you could pay more for your water bill very soon. Columbus is building a 4th water treatment plant designed to keep up with the soaring demand in northwest Franklin County. So take a look at this. The average daily water usage has really skyrocketed since 2018. 10 TV's Kevin Landers has been looking at how much more water this new plant can deliver.
This region is supposed to grow by up to 700,000 people by 2050. So we're trying to take a very proactive response to this and make sure that we have the water as folks move into our region.
This $1.6 billion home road water plant is the answer.
Initially, this plant will start up at 48 million gallons per day. We have the capacity to go up to 80 million gallons per day.
Millions of gallons of water that will be pumped into homes and businesses from the sun, thanks to an array of floating solar panels.
Actually, the entire plant can be run by that solar facility.
This map on the left shows how the city's 3 water plants feed Columbus customers today. On the right shows how the home road plant will deliver water in the future by taking over most of the northwestern part of the region.
The whole region's growing as a whole. So this plant really does help with that overall regional growth.
With growth comes growing pains. The city admits water rates will need to increase to support the project.
What do you anticipate how high the rates could go up?
I'm not sure right now. We're in the process of evaluating that. Those rates will be coming out later this year.
The water from this plant will be pumped through massive water pipes that will stretch more than 15 miles. This map shows the path that will need to be dug through Delaware County into Dublin and connecting to Columbus lines. The city says water levels in the Scioto River won't be impacted, but there could be some disruption for those who have water wells near the project.
But during construction, we will have to dewater some of the area, so we may impact some of the neighborhood wells.
Built on the former Scioto Juvenile Correction Facility, the city bought the land from the state in 2015 in anticipation of projected growth. The city says the plant is expected to open in 2030. Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Kevin, thank you. Now, the state of Ohio is also chipping in $50 million towards the cost of this project. The rest is expected to come from the federal government. But with recent funding cuts, the city may have to explore other federal loan options. Well, this week, transportation leaders from around the world came to Columbus to see how Ohio is handling more traffic in the years to come. The Ohio Future of Mobility Conference really dug deep and exposed new technology that will make roads safer and smarter. Everything from autonomous shuttles to using drones for monitoring traffic and road conditions. Now, this 3-day conference was hosted by the Beta District. This is a corridor of high tech stretching along US 33 in Northwest Franklin County and connecting that part of Columbus to Dublin and Marysville and the rest of Union County. The Beta District is also becoming one of the fastest growing tech hubs in the country.
And so in order for us to best inform how we can ensure the safety of those types of technologies, we want to see them tested, by the state on our roads, make sure that we're working with the industry on collecting data.
And speaking of roads, get ready for more roundabouts. Delaware County plans to build 26 new ones, pretty much doubling the number of roundabouts in the next 5 years. 3 of those will replace intersections along Cheshire Road just west of Sunbury. Road engineers say roundabouts are the best way to keep you safe in busy intersections while also reducing traffic congestion at the same time.
They reduce crashes by 80%, injury and fatal crashes by 80%. They increase capacity and efficiency. There's less wait time. You don't have to stop at a red light. So they're the safest intersection.
Almost feels like a roundabout boom, but many of those are coming to the southern portion of Delaware County, and construction will ramp up in June. Well, when it comes to caring for kids, Nationwide Children's Hospital is thinking big. Really big. We're talking about a massive new tower built for the sickest young patients and designed for a future where medicine and compassion go hand in hand. 10 TV's Tracy Townsend got a first-hand look at how this expansion could really shape care for generations to come, and why leaders say the timing couldn't be more critical.
The signs of change at Nationwide Children's Hospital are evident from an elevated view.
We're seeing over on the green section with an orange, that's part of the garage.
That's where they're going to lay concrete, and where there is a kind of a crinkly surface that's plastic on top of the first pour.
And Patty McClyman, who's leading the project, told me the mission here is more than just a remodel and expansion.
We don't build buildings to build buildings. We build buildings to provide the highest quality patient care and get the best outcomes for the child.
In fact, the new Nationwide Children's Hospital acute tower will be for the sickest patients. The timing of completion in 2028 is critical.
We can't retrofit old space anymore and still meet the technology requirements. We now need to have new space that allows us to provide that highest level, best outcome care.
This rendering reveals how massive the tower will be. On day one, there will be care for children in hematology oncology, that's kids with cancer, neonatal intensive care, the emergency room, and pediatric intensive care.
In intensive care, now, we can save kids that before would have been born with diseases that they might have died from.
The tower expands the pediatric intensive care unit, which treats those medically vulnerable kids, from 54 PICU beds to more than 70, with extra space for families. And when you consider how essential that is, once you remember that children come here from all around the world for specialized care.
The history is here, as a group of Central Ohio women established what was then called Children's Hospital in the late 1800s. Administration points to a transformational milestone in 2006 with a $50 million gift from the Nationwide Foundation, which inspired the hospital trustees to change the name to Nationwide Children's Hospital. The hospital's evolution continued with the groundbreaking and multi-million-dollar investments, including the Behavioral Health Pavilion.
Are you seeing more patients?
We absolutely are seeing more patients. So we're seeing more patients for a couple of different reasons. The first is that Columbus is booming.
And the hospital system is branching out from the main campus to Central Ohio suburbs, including Grove City and New Albany. Hospital leaders say it is about following families to ensure children get the right level of care as close to home as possible.
I can imagine that families really appreciate that.
They know that children are not small adults and that they need the specialty care of someone who understands how a child is growing, how their mind is developing, and what is typical development for the child.
Tracy Townsend, 10 TV News.
Well, construction is already underway, with hospital leaders now hoping to open that new tower by 2028. And they say it's not just about more space, but really better outcomes for the kids who need it most. We do want to hear from you if you have questions related to Central Ohio's rapid growth, or maybe you want us to look into something. Just text us your questions and your concerns at this number, 614-460-3345. And we know many of you are watching us on our YouTube channel, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And you can also drop your question in that comment section right there, and we'll do our best to respond. It's been a great week. We want to thank you for watching This Week in Boomtown. We'll see you again next week. I'm Angela Ann.